everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel on the art of alopecia. For those who don't know me, my name is Marcy and I have an autoimmune condition called Alopecia Universalis. Basically what that means is my immune system mistakenly attacks my hair follicles, and that is why I am completely bald and balding throughout my body. And on this YouTube channel we talk all about hair loss. We do lots of wig reviews, we do lots of unboxings, tips, tricks, tutorials, Q&As, and if you guys are interested, I'm also very active on my Instagram and my TikTok platforms, also known as The Art of Alopecia. And if you ever wanted to contact me about anything, or if you're in need of support, you can always email me at theartofalopecia@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. I hope you guys are all doing well and you're thriving in life. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and supporting me just by watching it. I greatly appreciate it. And you guys mean the world to me. So thank you so much. I hope you guys are enjoying your last few days of July. I can't believe we're almost into August. That is crazy, knowing that summer is only 1 month away, but it's okay. Happy vibes, happy thoughts. I just got my nails done, so I'm in a really great mood. I didn't really plan this like pastel palette for my outfit, but I got a bare face of makeup, so I'm gonna be 100% real and authentic with you guys in this video. So for today, this is going to be something that I've never really done before, something that I haven't really openly talked about on kind of any social media platforms. Like even before starting The Art of Alopecia, I never really talked about it if it wasn't for, you know, my close friends or my family. But I'm just going to film a video sharing with you guys the other medical issues, problems that I experience on a day-to-day basis. Basically my other medical conditions other than alopecia. I feel like it is really important for me to share with you guys these other aspects of my life because, again, they have all shaped me into the person that I am today, like alopecia did. And it's also comforting to, you know, watch someone with alopecia struggle with more than one thing, because I know a lot of other people with alopecia who do have other medical conditions, and alopecia is so under-researched that we don't even know if there's a correlation between our other medical conditions, or maybe there is. I don't know. There isn't enough science, so maybe someone else out there is experiencing the same thing, and maybe I can give comfort to someone watching this video. Who knows? But that's the plan for today. So if you guys are interested in learning more about me and learning more about, you know, the everyday medical conditions that I struggle with, then keep watching. So let's get started. So obviously you guys know that I have alopecia. Alopecia is all surrounding the immune system. There isn't enough science to know why it happens. All that we know is that, you know, you are born with a particular kind of gene and you can live your entire life and that gene could not be activated and you would never develop alopecia. But for those who do have the gene and who do get them activated, we know that it's something within the environment. So it can be the flu, it can be taking a medication that activates it, it could be an allergy that can activate it, it could be stress. A lot of people are under the misconception that alopecia is caused by stress. And yes, for some people it is, but then I always give them the story of, okay, when I was 5 years old and I was diagnosed with alopecia, my hair was falling out. Why was I stressed? There was no stress in my life. So don't always assume that alopecia is surrounded by stress, because it's not, but for some people it is. So that's just one environmental factor. Okay, so now moving on to the other medical conditions that I deal with on a day-to-day basis that is not my alopecia. So this first thing is not anything super cool or super rare. It's actually something that's very common. So I have had eczema for as long as I can remember. Eczema is the skin condition. Can't really give you a description of what it is. It's just that common rashy skin condition, dry skin. I've had that for as long as I can remember, probably even before having alopecia. I usually get them right here, underneath here, behind my ear, around my nose, and different kind of areas around my body. I definitely noticed that my eczema got worse as my alopecia started to progress. So growing up as a kid, I had alopecia areata, so only, you know, bald spots on my head, and my eczema was okay. It was bearable, but as I started to develop more into universalis, that's when the eczema patches started to get bigger and more irritating. This is not a huge barrier on my life. It definitely can be controlled with ointments and steroid creams. But it is very common for people with one autoimmune deficiency to develop another autoimmune deficiency. I cannot explain why in medical terms. It's just how our body works. You will meet a lot of people with alopecia who also have eczema or who have psoriasis, or people with alopecia also develop like lupus. So I don't know, one autoimmune on top of another autoimmune, it's definitely not fun, but it is something that we are strong enough to deal with. But that is kind of the first thing that I deal on a day-to-day basis. I still go see my dermatologist who takes care of my eczema for me. I no longer see a dermatologist for my alopecia. I've definitely stopped taking treatment for a while now because I love myself and I love the journey that alopecia put me on, and I know that I am beautiful with or without hair. But anyway, that's for another video. I will also do a video on why I decided to stop treatment. But moving on to my third autoimmune condition, you will probably notice that I have really, really rosy cheeks. They're actually pretty subtle right now, but I also have been diagnosed with rosacea, and my rosacea definitely started to flare up and become very noticeable when my alopecia started to progress more into universalis. I think it's a blessing and a curse. You know, having rosy cheeks is great. Sometimes it can be really, really overpowering. It makes me feel insecure sometimes, but again, it can be controlled with ointment and creams. My rosacea is not developed into any form of like severe rosacea, if that makes any sense. It's a very mild form of rosacea, but I don't remember having it as a kid. I just remember it starting to flare up when my alopecia started to progress. It's just like a really bright red. Sometimes it can be very blotchy, and kind of ties in with my eczema where the redness can start to peel because it's so dry. Anyway, it's a fun time. But my eczema and my rosacea, they don't bother me as much as the last two conditions that I'm going to talk to you about are something that is very, very doable, and I can live with it, and it doesn't really affect my overall quality of life. Yes, it does affect my skin, but I'm very fortunate to have very good skin and very clear skin. I remember growing up as a kid when, you know, all of my other friends were starting to get like pimples and acne on their face, and I asked my dermatologist, I'm like, do you think I'm ever going to, you know, experience that, getting any kind of like acne or anything like that? And he says, well, Marcy, I think the reason why your face continues to stay clear is actually because your immune system is so focused on fighting your hair follicles that it doesn't have any more room to fight your face. So that's kind of what I tell everybody. I know, again, this is not the same for everyone. People with alopecia also suffer from pretty severe acne, so it really depends on the body that you were given. I am very, very fortunate to have pretty clear skin. But yeah, that is kind of my eczema and my rosacea. So let's move on to the last two. Okay, moving on. So this fourth kind of condition is something very new, something that I was very newly diagnosed with. And I'm gonna save my weird leg condition last because that's probably the thing that I have the most things to say about. So this new thing has been very new for me and was quite challenging at first. And around like November of 2020, so recently, like this year, I just went to my family doctor just to get my yearly physical. I've been doing it ever since I was a kid. I think it's important for everyone to go to their doctors once a year just to take vitals and, you know, just you know, it's important. You gotta take good care of your health, especially when you have other kinds of, you know, medical issues that you're dealing with. When she was taking, you know, my heart rate, my blood pressure, and all of that fun jazz, she noticed that all of those kinds of heart-related numbers were extremely high, like high enough to be for someone that is actually running, but I was sitting and I had been sitting for a while. So she was asking me, you know, like, Marcy, like, are you undergoing any stress? Like, is anything happening with you today? Are you feeling anxious or something to be here? And I go, no, I'm having a great day. Just got back from work. Nothing was wrong. Nothing was going on in my life. And she goes, okay. And then she realized that I'd been wearing an Apple Watch, and she goes, Marcy, do you think that we could maybe look at the data that your Apple Watch takes regarding like your heart rate? And I go, sure, like I have nothing else to hide. And we looked at it, and the numbers were really, really surprising. She goes, Marcy, your heart rate is constantly high, like high for someone who is running. But again, like, I don't run, you know, I do physical activity, I go for many walks, but, you know, I try and stay as healthy as I can, but my heart rate was really high, and she was really concerned about that. So she referred me to a cardiologist, and I did all of the heart tests. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I wore like a Holter monitor for 72 hours. I did all the ECG, I don't know, all of the heart stuff. I got tested for everything, got my blood work looked at, did all the scans, did all the x-rays. And the cardiologist booked an appointment with me a month later, and he diagnosed me with tachycardia. And for those who don't know what tachycardia is, it's basically a heart condition. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a disease. Basically, it's a fancy word to say that my heart rate is abnormally fast for someone of my age, my height, my weight. It's nothing, he said, it's not life-threatening in the slightest. He says that it's just something that I really need to monitor, especially when I'm doing physical activity and all of that jazz. So that was really hard for me to hear. And I never even thought to check, you know, my heart rate on my Apple Watch. I'm really happy that I actually, you know, I have it to do so. But that was really hard to hear. He had to put me on a new medication, just like a mild form of like beta blocker. So basically it slows down your heart. He says it's not something that I have to take every day, but it is something that I should be taking regularly when my heart does start to, you know, rise, especially when I'm doing physical activity. So that was kind of a bit life-altering, I want to say. It was really hard for the first 2 weeks on the medication when getting used to it, because it really, really slowed me down. And for those who know me, know that I am a bundle of energy and joy, and I'm bouncing around, bouncing on the walls. So for that medication to completely change the way that I acted for like a good 2 weeks while I was getting used to it was really, really hard for me. But that is something that I deal with. I don't think it has any correlation with my alopecia, because it's something completely different, because autoimmune and heart don't really, I mean, of course, all of the systems work together, but those are two completely different areas. So he says it's just something that you're kind of going to have to deal with. I did suspect that, you know, my heart condition could be associated with my dad's heart condition. So I have an irregular heart rate, and he has an irregular rhythm. So he says that there could be a correlation between the two, but he can't say for sure. Another thing that he said could have caused it was a little backstory. So when I was, I want to say 15, 16 years old, I decided to go on methotrexate. It was a chemotherapeutic treatment that I tried for my alopecia, and I was on it for about a year or a year and a half. Started with the oral medication. I can talk about this in another video, and then I switched the injectable. But for those who don't know, it's a chemotherapeutic drug. So they do use it for people who are going cancer and such. It's also used for many other autoimmune deficiencies. I personally don't think it should be on the market for people who are dealing with hair loss. I think it is too dangerous of a drug to be given out. That, again, that's my personal opinion. But he thinks that due to the fact that I was on that medication for about a year and a half, that medication in particular does come with a lot of long-term side effects, and he thinks that could be one of them. Yeah, I don't know how I developed it. I'm doing a lot better. I'm being a lot more mindful over my heart, not constantly, but regularly checking my heart rate, making sure that I'm not doing anything to aggravate it, not doing anything to make myself, faint or whatnot or anything like that. I am continuing to take the medication that they prescribed to me. Again, not an everyday thing. It's just really sometimes when I plan to be on the go and I know I'm going to be doing a lot of like walking or physical activity. So you guys are going to want to hear this last one because it's actually pretty cool for me to talk about, and it's not something that a lot of people know about. So if you are interested, then keep watching because I promise you it's pretty cool. So this is something that I have been dealing with for about 4 years now. I believe it only got diagnosed, I want to say 2 years ago. So I have something in my leg, and I'm sure you've seen me kind of talk about it or post about it on my Instagram if you follow me there. But I haven't really openly talked about what it is or my experience with it. So I have a movement disorder called functional focal dystonia. It is a neurological condition where there is a miscommunication between my head or my brain and my right leg. It all kind of started a injury that I had during one of the musicals that I was in. I was in Shrek the Musical. I did kind of like a weird dance move where like I flicked my leg out and something kind of popped, something kind of shifted. There was something off about it. Well, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about my journey with it because it's been a long one. So starting off at that injury, it puffed up right away. I was still able to continue doing the show because I was just on, pain medication. I thought I had just, shifted my kneecap or something, nothing too severe. Went to the emergency department. They said I had a shifted muscle and I just needed rest. So I was fine. I was able to do the show and able to finish the run of the show, which was fantastic. And then I kind of started to notice that after the show, my legs started to turn into a really awkward position. So let me show you. So apologies for all of these wigs. So if my leg was straight, this leg would be turned in. So from my hip, my kneecap being locked, my ankle being locked, and my toes kind of curling in. That was the position that it was turning into. And I was like, what is going on? This is so weird. So I went to go see a doctor at a physiotherapist along with a physiotherapist. And no one knew what the frick was going on. They're like, I don't think this has anything to do with your muscles or your bones or whatnot. I went for all of the scans. I went for all of the tests. And they're like, I don't know why your leg is turned in. And I want to say for about 2 months, my leg was locked in that inwards position and I was on crutches and I couldn't get it to unlock. It was locked. All of my muscles were locked. And it was really scary. I lost complete function of my right leg. I thought that was going to be the end of it. I thought they were going to have to chop it off. My goodness. It was very painful. It was very uncomfortable. I remember the day that it actually unlocked, like after 3 months of it being locked, my muscles and everything about my leg was in agony. I was so sore. Like, imagine your muscles being locked for that long. It was such a horrible experience. So after seeing a few different doctors, this one doctor decided to refer me to a neurologist because they had told me that this might actually be like a neuro issue, something maybe like with nerve damage or something related to the injury, maybe something that was combined with the injury, something that I might have already hurt, and then I don't know, because I never experienced that kind of locking, before. And along with like that locking, there was like numbness and there was like weird tingling sensation. So that's why that doctor referred me to the neurologist. So fast forward a few months, I went to go see this neurologist. He was a pediatric neurologist because I was still 17 at the time. And he sent me for an MRI and a few different scans, and everything was clear. So he decided to put me on this medication called gabapentin. Did greatly help my leg. I thought that was kind of the be all end all. Like that was my fix. And then I went to Cuba and my leg just started to feel back to normal. You know, I was walking great on this, like while on this medication, and everything was great. So I continued to be on that medication for quite some time, and then it kind of started to make me feel very, very depressed. And I started experiencing some suicidal thoughts. So I wanted to get off it immediately. So I started kind of like weaning out of it because I thought, you know, like that was the fix. Like my medication cured me. Which was stupid for me to think about, but that was kind of my mindset. So after Cuba, I was in an amazing show. I didn't have an issue whatsoever. I did have one locking episode, and it was actually during my callback. I went into my freaking callback with the crutches. I still got the part though, which was great. I had a few leg issues in between, but nothing as severe as like the 3-month locking. I just thought it was just going to be something that I had to deal with until, you know, I actually got the answers that I deserved, really. So for a good 3 months, I was okay. You know, my leg only locked like once a month or maybe once or twice a month for a few hours. I was able to live with it. It wasn't too painful. Yes, I was sore when the leg unlocked, but, you know, I was able to live out and continue doing me. So closing night of my show, I got a concussion, which sucked. And throughout my healing process, my leg started to worsen again. It started to lock up a lot more frequently. The numbness and the tingliness started to come back. The pain started to come back, like a shooting up pain from my ankle all the way to my hip. Super uncomfortable. So at that point, I wasn't on medication. So I went to go see a new neurologist who was an adult neurologist because I couldn't see the pediatric one anymore because I had turned 18. And she kind of did a few more tests with me. She thought, okay, maybe it's like a regional pain syndrome, which is really hard to diagnose. Maybe it's just nerve damage from an injury, but she didn't really think much of it. So she said that, you know, if I wanted to kind of keep this under control, then we could start on a low dosage of that gabapentin that my other neurologist put me on. And I said, okay, like if this is going to improve my overall quality of life, then yes, I will try it, but I'm not going to take this medication again if it's going to make me, you know, if it's going to make me depressed and have suicidal thoughts and nightmares and night terrors. It did its magic for a little while. And then that's when this kind of condition started to progress. And at that point, I was begging doctors to give me answers because I had none. So this neurologist wanted to refer me to a new specialist who was a pain management specialist. And she really hoped that he would be able to help me with my chronic pain that I was experiencing. Saw him a few times and he put me on a new kind of medication that definitely did help with the pain. But again, I started to experience a lot more mental health issues, and I got it off of it immediately. I'm like, this pain is not worth me suffering inside my mind. Like, I'm not going to put myself through this. My mental health is way more important. Wanted me to go get something called an EMG. So basically testing out how your muscles and your nerves react. I'm not really sure. If you want a more clear explanation, Google it, because I won't be able to give it to you. But it's basically when they have they use frequency. So they have this huge machine, and they put needles into different muscles to test out your nerve activity. And the EMG assistant, who used to be a neurologist, had told me, and he said, Marcy, you know what, I'm not supposed to tell you this. I'm not supposed to give you, disclose the results before, talking about it with your doctor. But he goes, your EMG is completely normal, but I think you have this. And what he had told me was functional fixed dystonia, which is what I was soon diagnosed with, which was crazy. This guy literally diagnosed me when he wasn't even my doctor. So this pain management specialist guy wanted me to see his colleague in the same building who was a dystonia specialist guy. After the EMG talked to the pain management specialist, because he thought that seeing this dystonia specialist would really help me, because that's really truthfully what they thought I had. So I went to go see him, and that's when he officially gave me my official diagnosis of functional focal dystonia. So the EMG guy was a little bit off with the fixed. So if I had functional fixed dystonia, that means my leg would remain fixed forever, or for a long period of time, and it wouldn't unlock. But since mine is on and off, and it kind of has a mind of its own, is focal. So that is my diagnosis, functional focal dystonia. So he put me on a new kind of medication that significantly helped my dystonia. It definitely didn't help prevent it, but it helped me with the reoccurrence. So it kind of minimized the amount of locking episodes that I had. Fast forward to present day, I am currently doing physio to help physio with a neurologist physiotherapist. She's really knowledgeable with movement disorders and such. So she's really been helping me. And I'm also undergoing Botox treatments in my legs. So I get Botox injections in my muscles to help loosen them, to help kind of release a little bit of tension. And I have been seeing some improvements, which is great. So that's kind of where I'm at. It definitely took a good 2-3 years to get the diagnosis that I was waiting for. It was and it still is really hard to deal with, because as I said, this dystonia has a mind of its own. So my leg locks in and out whenever it wants to. We haven't been able to find any kind of trigger. For right now, it's been commonly happening at night, but it can be if I'm walking or if I'm sleeping. It's so unpredictable, so that's why it is so hard to live with. I have my TENS machine, a transcutaneous nerve stimulator, where I put electrodes on different parts of my leg to help ease the pain, and I do have some pain meds that I take when needed, then on top of the medication that I'm taking for my leg. So yeah, my leg is a really complicated issue, but I have found as the alopecia community, I found a really great dystonia community. It's a lot more common than I had originally thought. Dystonia can affect any part of your body, and a lot of people suffer from it. So I'm really happy not to be alone on this. That makes me feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more at ease. Yeah, now I'm just trying to live my best life, really listening to my doctors, doing my physiotherapy, taking my medication, doing the Botox therapy. So I'm really doing everything to improve my overall quality of life, because again, it is something that is really hard to deal with. It's unpredictable that I'm living, and it's a weird condition to have, but I'm thankful that I finally got the diagnosis that I got. Hoping it's nothing else, or it doesn't turn into anything else, because that would just make me exhausted. But yeah, alopecia, rosacea, eczema, tachycardia, and functional focal dystonia. That is the 5 medical conditions that I have. This is me. That is like the short version of all of the issues that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Again, we don't really know what caused this functional focal dystonia. They said that originally it could have been because of the methotrexate. Please don't go on methotrexate. There's so many long-term side effects, or maybe I'm just unlucky. But they have no idea. They have no idea what caused any of this. So for that, I'm kind of in the dark. I'm not actively seeking for answers. I don't feel like I need to. But I am still maintaining a positive outlook on life, staying very optimistic, taking these challenges as they come to me, and, turning them into something positive, such as advocating for alopecia. I would really love to join kind of the dystonia support groups or whatever, to see what I can do and what I can provide to those services. But yeah, that is me. Those are the medical conditions that I deal with. If you guys have any further questions, leave a comment down below. I am the most open book, or you can again contact me via email, or you can DM me on Instagram. I am always here to support anyone in need, or to answer any questions, or to take recommendations for videos, because that's really great. But don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Turn on your post notifications so you know when I post next. And also follow me on my other social platforms, because it's a fun time over there. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of not really related to alopecia. But again, I am being my most authentic self, and those are things that are a part of me and that are worth sharing. So without further ado, I am going to stop talking because my mouth hurts. But I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we will see you next time on The Art of Alopecia. Bye guys!